Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Good morning. This is Newsline and a very warm welcome to you. Our guest this morning is the eminent legal personality, Mr. Hemanta Warnakulasuriya. A very good morning to you, Hemanta.
Good morning, Faraz. Good morning.
Good having you on our show as always. Of course, Sri Lanka wakes up this Monday with the news that the president has, let's say, finally appointed a governor of the central bank. What now?
Well, I believe, this whole episode of Mahendran, we must be, as viewers, as citizens of this country, we must thank the MTV, Sirasa, and especially you, for us, having brought this matter to the limelight, having exposed the massive corruption that took place. And most of us, even I, did not understand how this fraudulent transaction took place. I did not believe that the present government, headed by the UNP government, headed by Ranil Wickremesinghe, would ever permit such a scandal to explode. And another important thing is, once the Sirasa and the MTV started this, the entire media, except one social media website, started investigation into this and found this was true, and they had a campaign. And ultimately, the President Maithripala Sirisena had to succumb to the views of the people and views of the majority and views of his own party, and had to make a decision that would displease Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. I know why. So therefore, I think we should be very happy today. And you, for us, especially as investigative journalists, you have done tremendous service to this country for having brought this matter to the notice of the public.
Yes, thank you. But we have a situation where the Prime Minister says, is on record, saying that you can't remove, well, it was too late by the time he said it, but he was saying that you can't remove the governor because until he is fully investigated by court and so on, because he said that he has done nothing legally wrong.
Yeah.
No, but I put it to you, Hemanta, that the Prime Minister on the one hand says that he's done nothing legally wrong. Well, to do that he needs to be investigated, perhaps charged, and then go on trial and so on. But I put it to you, isn't there, from such important positions, such as the Governor of the Central Bank, isn't there what we call a professional duty of care? If I consult you as a lawyer, I expect you to give me good professional service and advice and counsel. So how does that...
You're absolutely true. This matter, in fact, the Auditor General has said we lost 1.5 billion rupees. Whereas the others, especially those people who are not very pleased with what Mahendran did, say that up to 5 billion, and this is the biggest scam. But at least the Auditor General, we expect 1.5 billion rupees of loss. And it is the duty of any public servant to ensure that that kind of loss doesn't occur. And there is a safeguard. If you do something so illegal, so wrong, and that makes the country lose 1.5 billion, I believe at the first instance, the bribery and investigation department must look into this. There is a specific section called Section 70, where a public servant, by his various, I do not have the exact wording, what it means, if the public servant does something wrong and that causes a revenue loss, then he must be charged under Section 70 of the Magistrates Code. So I have defended several people who have minor public servants, and I'm sorry to say that in all those cases I failed and the bribery department won. Right? It's very, very difficult to show cause and to get your accused exonerated. So therefore, there's a clear case. If the Bribery and Investigation Department wants to investigate, then they can investigate Mahendran and charge him. Then there is also another aspect of it. Now, if the Prime Minister wants him to be punished or convicted, tell me, I'm asking you, tell me one politician who got convicted for the last 30 years, 40 years, I don't know. I don't think there is a single politician who was charged and convicted. So this is a process that takes a very, very long time. But on the other hand, when you sit as the governor of central bank, there's a moral duty, there's a moral obligation to ensure that you do what should be done. And if you do something wrong, it is up to him to resign. And I'm ashamed that a person like Ranil Wickremesinghe, who claims to be the Mr. Clean of Sri Lankan politics, went on to defend him. I can only recall, when I was the Secretary of the Bar Association, when DNRH was killed, Ranil Wickremesinghe came and made a statement defending the killers. And then when Richard Soisa was killed, Premadasa came and defended the killers. So so that means, why did Premadasa defend the killers of Richard Soisa? Why did Ranil Wickremesinghe defend the killers of DNRH? That is because they had some hand in it. Not that they were directly involved, but at that time there was a massacre which the government permitted. So the government had to protect the police officers. So similarly, if Mahendran is, if there's so much of allegations against him, and he has not so far answered that properly. And then on the other hand, look at what happened to the committee appointed by Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. Yeah. He says, now Mohan Sellaparuma is a junior lawyer, I know him personally, very honorable person, and the other two members of the committee went into and even they, being UNPers, being in various committees of UNP, and being lawyers attached to the UNP National Lawyers Association, they said, they stopped at a certain place and said that they cannot go beyond that because the terms of reference does not permit them to go, and then they wanted this allocation investigated. So even there, the terms of reference was framed in such a way that they could not find him guilty. Then look at the auditor.
But they did call for an investigation.
Yeah, they called for investigation. Nothing happened.
Into perpetual.
Yeah, so then was there investigation? Now, why, if there is an allegation, if their own committee wants this perpetual investment investigated, why are the government refusing to do that? Why the government open defending them? Then look at the other hand. On the other hand, the Auditor General. The Auditor General said 1.5 billion. Then Central Bank refuses to submit all the documents. Now if that happens to a normal person, what would happen? They would immediately, the Auditor General immediately inform the police. Police would arrest them, produce them in court, and charge them under Section 175 of the Penal Code, where a public servant declares a certain person to tender certain documents. If he refuses, there's ample provision of the Penal Code to charge him. So therefore, they have committed, whether it's Mahendran or anyone else, committed an offence where there is no defence, right?
What happens to secrecy and sensitivity of the information? This Auditor General's report, the summarised version, of which I've sort of caught sight of, has several pages of blank pages, and the Auditor General has made a note that these documents are of sensitive nature, secret, and so it is included in the main report, the full report, which is about 1,200 and something pages, but in the abridged sort of executive summary, if you like, which is around 196 pages, that's not there. So obviously there is some secrecy, sensitivity.
Yeah, so why is the Auditor General refusing to disclose certain very important matters, I believe if he discloses them, the whole government will rock. I believe that is the reason. I believe the Auditor General has been very careful in not to upset the apple cart. But what we say is this: now where are we heading? Is this what we wanted? Is this what we wanted when we elected this government? We wanted transparency. We wanted honesty. We wanted a major drive against anti-corruption, and we wanted all the thieves caught. But now, if those very people who came to power is robbing this country, and there is no one to investigate, what will the people think? And for all these sins, we have to pay by way of VAT and other charges.
That's incredibly true. But isn't it marvelous that the people's opinion, the people's concern, and the fact that the people's conscience was aroused in the first place and then led to this concern and so on, that the people's wishes and the people's concern has been addressed by the President?
I believe the President here, I believe this is one of the biggest difference between Mahinda Rajapaksa's and Maitripala's regime. Mahinda Rajapaksa wouldn't care tuppence of what happens, and if this was exposed, it have been there were so many people talking in favor of them, and ultimately no one would be everyone would be defending the scandal, and then nothing would happen. But here, at least we have a president in this country who is conscious of what the people of this country are talking. Maybe a very small segment, maybe that this doesn't have any impact on the villagers. But if he is true, if he is acting true to his conscience, the very fact that he records certain newspaper reports, the only person recommended by Ranil Wickramasinghe is my good friend Charita Ratwatta, and his name has not been sent back, and 5 other names have been sent, including Kumaraswamy. Now look at the appointment of Mr. Kumaraswamy. Now only disqualification would be, they would all say that he is also royalist, but he is one of the most honourable people, and there is a consensus. Everyone, including Dinesh Gunawardena, has spoken very highly of him. So therefore, that is the type. I think this is the best appointment made after this government came into power, and people rally around him. People applaud him. People appreciate what the president has done. That ultimately, even Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe, on the other hand, that's not only he. It was of the 5 names, Ranil Wickramasinghe is the person who selected Kumaraswamy, and then he was appointed. So therefore, as you say, this whole dialogue of good governance has gone, it's been spoken everywhere, and people now privy to this various other intricacies of these abusers, and they express their views fearlessly. That is a positive sign. Now, whatever, though I am very critical of this government, we also must appreciate the fact that we have permitted free expression, media freedom, and we can expose. The only way that this could be exposed is through media, not through investigation, not through police, not through any other department, because they are all under the government. But at least the media has come forward fearlessly, protecting the interests of the people.
Yes, that is entirely true. We must. We are the first to call a spade, but equally we acknowledge that the ambience of expressing oneself is without any sort of fear psychosis. And so we do acknowledge that. But Hemanta, what awaits us now? Should we all just forget about this 1.5 billion, 1.6 billion actually, and that was calculated to be the initial loss. But once you add up the years, the loss will grow. And so it's an enormous burden on the people. So now, what is the next step?
I believe the only hope is the President. We must urge the President in this, and all those who supported the president openly, movement for good governance, Sobita's movement, and all those people must get together and say, we investigate this properly. Give it to the Bribery Commission. Yeah. Find out whether there is Section 70 has been violated, and and then do other investigations. And if that is so, make this man, bring this man to book, so that at least people will know in the future, whatever connections you have with the government, you can't rob the people. When they say 1.5 billion loss, is that, you and I have to pay this. We cry when you go to the market and pay VAT, and where there protests all over. A reason is that mismanagement, and therefore someone must be accountable. The laws are there. I don't think there are no laws are there. There is provision under the Bribery Act. There is provision under other acts. We had to go into that and the Monetary Act. Now say the Monetary Board on the 15th of May, on the 24th of May, 2 people resigned, or 2 people, and Monetary Board has not been appointed up to now. No one. So the Monetary Board with the governor as the chairman must supervise the Sri Lankan economy. So if they have not appointed, I don't know for what reason. The last person, I believe, after Mr. Nimal Velgama left, someone is appointed. His term also has. Then they have not even appointed them.
Right. Thank you. Let's take a quick commercial break and come back. Don't go away. This is, after all, Newsline. We'll be back. Welcome back to Newsline. Our guest this morning is Mr. Hemanta Warnakulasuriya, President's Council, former ambassador, and our guest. Hemanta, again, thank you for being here. Actually, we should be formal, shouldn't we? Mr. Warnakulasuriya, what now? We must. You say we must have a full investigation, but sometimes, Mr. Warnakulasuriya, I am troubled because our government in Sri Lanka doesn't do the most obvious thing. Instead of having a 3-member committee and making all sorts of statements in Parliament under parliamentary privilege, I might add, isn't it better? The most obvious thing to have done would have been to have had a full forensic audit of this company and these transactions at the central bank. And that would have revealed everything. Instead, we have the interest rate went up, then it suddenly comes down, and in all this, there is one big beneficiary.
No. Obviously, what I'm trying to say, all this, even the forensic investigation or accounting procedure would not help, because I think there is some element of criminality in this. That is the thing that we must investigate. And whether because it will help Mahendran also. Mahendran is, after all, a reputed person who has earned a 6-figure salary or 5-figure salary in Singapore, and it will help him to have a fully independent commission to investigate. I believe this a special presidential commission ought to be appointed by the president to investigate into these scandals.
But Mr. Warnakulasuriya, you say that, and you say that Mr. Mahendran has earned a 5-6-figure salary in Singapore. Then what possesses a man to leave that and to join this country as governor?
That I believe sometimes, Now, for instance, I had to leave my profession when I was at the President's Council. I reached the peak, the top, and then the President Mahinda Rajapaksa requested me to go to Italy, and my salary was almost, I don't know what, some.
It's about what? It's about.
So I went there with
one consultation.
I went there with great, enthusiasm, expectation, to serve the country, because I believe on one hand, it's not only the money, it is also serving the country. So I believe Arjuna Mahendra may have come here. I mean, he has been the product of this country, and he has a wide knowledge. So he thought he would come back and help this country to get out of the economic mess created by Mahinda Rajapaksa.
So that's very, very good. What do they say? The path to hell is actually littered with good intentions.
Yeah.
But what happened?
What happened? This is something very, very mysterious. Why this happen? Now, for instance, the information, I don't know how far this is true, information I have is that, that they even extended time, another 12 minutes until the bid of perpetual.
Well, it was the proxy bid by the Bank of Ceylon.
Bank of Ceylon. And just imagine the Bank of Ceylon suddenly lending 600 million
it's a lot of money.
A lot of money. Can you get 600,000?
About 5 billion. Actually.
Yeah, so 600. I mean, they on their own did that because they were instructed to do so. I believe so. So then the whole thing that this man not having money, he borrowing money from the Bank of Ceylon, investing, making billions of rupees. And why should this happen? And then whatever it is, the nexus that he is the son-in-law of Mahendran, it's in any other country Mahendran would have resigned moment is exposed. There is no question of investigation. People have to resign. No, it was why did Cameron resign? I mean, what has he got to do with this people voting?
Yeah.
No, that is the culture. Unfortunately, we don't have that culture.
But we don't seem to have a culture of professionmelism.
Yeah, not only culture.
This is what happens when you
make. We have a culture of conscience. Do you have a conscience? Do you feel that this should have? My son-in-law should not, under any circumstances, participate in this, and I should not sit here until the whole thing is over, and then he becomes the biggest beneficiary. If you have a conscience, I believe conflict of interests would come to the fore. No?
The annoying other aspect is that when Ms. Mahendran was interviewed by a leading Sunday newspaper, which is respected, he said that as far as he knows, his son-in-law has resigned from the board of the operating company, the company that held the license as a primary dealer, Perpetual Treasuries. But actually, our investigations, and we highlighted this on our channel, we highlighted the fact that whilst that may well be so, Perpetual Treasuries was fully owned by the family of the son-in-law, including the son-in-law. And we also had the strange situation where the son-in-law's email address, even though his father-in-law said that he had resigned from the board, he didn't mention that the holding company, he didn't mention that bit. So that was a bit inspired. But critically almost, for several weeks thereafter, and it is a fact that went unnoticed by most, but not by Sirasa, the email address used by Perpetual Treasuries as advertised on the central bank website was arjun@perpetualtreasuries.com or .lk. Now, to me, in my mind, that just shows that this was merely a cover-up, because the major and the significant and majority shareholder of Perpetual Treasuries was another company in the full ownership of that same family.
And I will ask you, why should, if there was no irregularity, why should he resign? The resignation was cover. It's a cover.
He said that it was in the ambience of this conflict of interest.
Yeah, no, that is right. So now he resigned because he knew, though his company, he was in the holding company, though they were interested in the bid, and you resign and say, I have no conflict of interest. Like recently, there was a minister who had given his contracts to a company when the opposition raised and said that this company is owned by your company's company is owned by the minister. He said, no, I don't own. It's my family. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous. So this is that kind of excuse could be given, and people will accept that, and no one would question that. They make a huge cry about what Thevarappuram is doing. When he want to admit a certain child to school, but no one is talking about this kind of fraud that is taking place. Where you say, no, I don't have anything to do. It's my family. It's my son. I mean, isn't this the same vein that Mahendran says Aloysius is no longer the major shareholder or the owner of this company. So therefore, we have no conscience, we have no culture, we are there to make money, rob the government, rob the people, and make money as much as possible before the term ends.
But, Mr. Vanukulsuri, it appears to me, when we look at it time and time again, eventually they'll stop. In this case, we hope that this manipulation of the bond market will be stopped. It's difficult to, like I say, the government doesn't do the obvious things. For example, we don't have any regulator to look into this thing. The regulation is also left to the central bank for whatever regulation there is. We have the Minister of Finance who poo-pooed the whole business about the losses, and saying that there's what losses? These are notional losses. But now we have the Auditor General saying that the loss is about 1.6 billion at the least, and that he also says that it could be much more. So, the government, if they were proactive, they would have an independent regulator for this. We have, by the way, the Securities and Exchange Commission. 1.5 years later, after Tilak Karunaratne returned to the chairmanship, at the beginning he promised us on this program to come back in 3 months and so on. He did come back, but nothing had been done. And to this date, he promised to reopen some files or to look into it. It's almost died a natural death, in the sense he may be doing things we don't know. But, Tilak, we'd like, Mr. Karunaratne, we'd like to hear from you and tell us what the SEC has done. Because it seems to have gone into quiet mode. We want it to be right at the forefront, being proactive, not reactive to what we say.
I believe Mr. Karunaratne has all the good intentions. He wants to revamp and he wants to restructure, reorganize the stock market. But all the sharks in the stock market are opposed to him. And they will never permit him to work. They'll wade their way through and get hold of the politicians of this government or any government and get them to sing the same song that they have been singing, so that nothing would happen, no actions will be filed. Now if as you know, the Galleon case where this man went to jail. I mean, if those regulations are there, most of these businessmen would be behind bars.
Indeed.
And then, now another thing for us very, very important, now this matter, this bond scam, now moment this happened, the government, if the government was conscious and they want to prevent this kind of fraud happening, they should have committee should have been set up to frame regulations so that this will not happen in the future. Now that means that's not going to happen. It's open. So therefore, even a future governor could do this.
So we need urgent steps. On that note, we've come to the end of our discussion. How time flies when we're enjoying ourselves. Thank you, Hemanta Vanukulsuri, for being on Newsline. And I'm going to leave you with a very quick quote. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they become inevitable. So said Superman, Christopher Reeve. On that note, thanks for watching Newsline. Take care, have a great day, and God bless.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.